Do you ever have a hard time during your fantasy football drafts deciding between a couple players when you're on the clock? Well, what if I told you I had a fantasy football cheat code that could help you find solid wide receivers? Is that something you would be interested in? Because in today's show, I'm showing you 3 metrics that can help you draft great wide receivers. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Hopefully everyone's doing well out there today. We're going to be talking about 3 metrics that when you look at these 3 metrics together, it turns into a fantasy football cheat code to find wide receivers that we want to draft. Now, speaking of cheating, that's really the only chance you have at beating me in some best ball leagues over on Underdog Fantasy. And I want to challenge you to some leagues right now. There are actually links to live drafts right now down in the description of this video. Now, maybe you're sitting out there saying, I don't have an Underdog Fantasy account. Don't worry, it's not too late to sign up and try to take my money. All you need to do is head over to Underdog Fantasy or download the app. Create a new account using the referral code Headliners and then make your initial $10 deposit. Now, by doing that, you're going to get a couple free things like a special pick added to your account. You're also going to get a first-time deposit bonus of up to $250 in bonus cash, but no, that's not it. You're also going to get a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide from yours truly. And you'll then have a couple bucks in your account to join one of the leagues and try to beat me if you can. Leagues start as low as $3, and like I said, there's already links down below in the description. The drafts will start once the leagues are filled, but I want to give away a free draft guide if possible. So if this video right here can get over 800 likes, I'm going to pick a random commenter from down below and just give them a free fantasy football draft guide. So you know what to do. Hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and let's learn all about this cheat code. And first, let's start off by discussing the metrics we're actually going to be looking at in this show. The first one is target share. Who is out there getting the volume? Then, catchable target rate. I know if you've been here for any length of time, you've heard me bring up that metric before. Is the volume that they're receiving even worth a crap? And then lastly, we're going to look at fantasy points per target. How did they turn their targets into actual points? So I took the top 60 fantasy wide receivers. I could have done 30. You probably would have been happy with the results, but damn it, I'm a man of the people, and I went 60 deep. And you better believe I took those 60 wide receivers and I compared them head to head in all 3 of these metrics. But maybe you're out there asking, how do I even know if this works or not? Well, you're going to see here in just a couple minutes that the top 7 finishers in today's exercise were all inside the top 12 wide receivers in 2023. But we know about those big names, right? I don't need to sit here and tell you that Tyreek Hill is great. Well, you already know that. What we're really trying to do is find some other wide receivers that we can get a little bit cheaper that finish pretty close to those guys in this exercise. We're then going to analyze their 2024 outlook and see if they're worth their current price when it comes to ADP. Now, if you're watching this show right now and you feel like you're about to be mind blown, you probably are. So hit the subscribe button right now if you haven't already. But let's go ahead and dive into the first metric, which is target share. And I'm going to go ahead and put up the top 20 finishers in this metric. I can't fit 60 names on the screen. The font would be so damn small, everybody would be complaining that you can't read it on a cell phone. So here's the top 20 in this metric, but all 60 were graded. Right here at the top, Tyreek Hill. 33.7% target share is huge. Anything over 30%, that's massive. We're really looking for guys over 25%, but if it's over 30, that thing is huge if you know what I'm talking about. How about Devontae Adams? We know he saw a ton of volume. Keenan Allen, that's probably going to change here this year. Michael Pittman at 30.5, that number could come down slightly. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 30.2, A.J. Brown 30.1, right there with Garrett Wilson as well. 30.1. Then we get into CeeDee Lamb at 29.9. Stephon Diggs at 29.5. That number's probably going to come down. How about DJ Moore, 28.9? Another guy. The number probably going to fall down a little bit. Then we got Puka at 28.7. DeAndre Hopkins at 28.6. Justin Jefferson at 27.2. How about Jamar Chase at 26.3? Adam Thielen at 25.7. That number going to come down dramatically as well. And then Cooper Kupp, Chris Olave, and Brandon Ayuk right there, just about 25%. And then we'll round out the top 20 with the first two guys under 25%, it was Mike Evans and Zay Flowers, who are both sitting at 24.4% of the target share of their team. So, all right, now we know the top 20 guys. These are the guys that are going to get the biggest share of the volume on their teams. But now, we need that volume to be catchable, right? Targets are great, but if they're thrown 35 feet over his head or in the dirt, does it really matter? Because he had no opportunity to catch that ball anyway. So we need catchable targets. Well, here are the top 20 finishers when it comes to catchable target rate. And holy mother F balls, at the top of the list, it's Khalil Shakir. 95.6% of his targets were catchable. That is redonk. That's a stupid high number. Rashee Rice at 87.3. If that dude could just keep his head on straight. How about Courtland Sutton at 82.2? Now he has a new quarterback. Adam Thielen, 81.8. Then we got CeeDee Lamb at 80.7. Josh Downs, 79.6. Anything over 75% here is doing pretty good. So as we continue down the list, we see the likes of Zay Flowers at 78.7. Tyreek Hill at 78.4. Nico at 78. Jamar Chase, 77.9. Puka Nacua at 76.7. DJ Moore at 76.5. Kendrick Bourne, 76.4. JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba at 76.3. Amon-Ra, 76.2. We got three guys right here at 76%, Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, and Romeo Doubs. And then we round it out with Devontae Smith and Michael Pittman right there just above 75%. So now we've gotten the volume. Now we know who's getting that catchable volume. How did we do when we turn it in to fantasy points? Well, here are the top 20 finishers in fantasy points per target. And once again, we have some overachievers. Right at the top, we got Deebo Samuel at 2.74, which is an astronomical number. But right behind him, it's Khalil Shakir again at 2.51 fantasy points per target. Dude is out there scoring more fantasy points per target than the likes of Tyreek Hill and DJ Moore and Mike Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson. Khalil Shakir is the real deal. If this guy can get some volume, I know you've heard his name quite a bit on my shows here over the last couple of weeks. He's just starting to show up everywhere. But as we continue down the list, we got Nico Collins at 2.39, Brandon Ayuk at 2.37, Jaden Reed 2.31. Anything over 2 here is amazing. The rest of the guys here over 2, we got CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Tank Dell, Brandon Cooks, Courtland Sutton, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Rashee Rice, Rashid Shaheed, Devontae Smith, Jacoby Myers, Jordan Addison, Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, and then the first guy under 2 fantasy points per target was Gabe Davis at 1.99. So I took all 3 of those metrics and I ranked the wide receivers 1 through 60, depending on how they finished in each metric. I then took that score, totaled it up for the 3, and this is the result that we found. So here are the top 20 overall finishers when compared head-to-head in all 3 of these metrics. The first thing that you see is a lot of people at the top that finished super high last season. Well, if they're high performers from last year, that means the metrics we're looking at are pretty good indicators of a way to find some good wide receivers. Especially when you look at the fact that the top 7 guys were inside the top 12 last year. Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, Keenan Allen, Brandon Ayuk, and Puka Nacua. Now, Ayuk and Puka were tied for 7th. They both ended up with the same amount of total points, so they're both tied for 7th here. But you can see the top 7 guys all finishing in the top 12. Now we need to find out who's around these guys. So as we go further down the list, we see the names that we kind of expect, right? Justin Jefferson. But what about Zay Flowers? Did you expect him to finish this high? Jamar Chase, kind of a given. Adam Thielen, Courtland Sutton, AJ Brown, Rashee Rice, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Smith, Michael Pittman, Khalil Shakir, Deebo Samuel, and Jalen Waddle. But as I'm going through this list, I'm sure you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. A lot of these guys have a different situation this year, so can we really consider them this season? Probably not. Guys like DJ Moore, he really has to share targets with a lot more options now. Keenan Allen is in the mix. Roma Dunze is in the mix. We have a new quarterback there in Caleb Williams, so we're not really going to look at DJ Moore. Nico Collins. Now they have Tank Dell back and healthy, and Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon in the mix, so that's going to be different for Nico. Keenan Allen, we just mentioned him when talking about DJ Moore. How about Adam Thielen? Now all of a sudden he has to worry about Deontay Johnson. He has to worry about stud rookie Xavier Leggett as well. Adam Thielen may not see a huge target share anymore. Cortland Sutton, completely different quarterback. It's not Russell Wilson throwing him a touchdown every single week. Rashee Rice, I included him because honestly, right now, I don't even know how many games he's going to play in 2024. And I don't want to sit here and tell somebody to draft Rashee Rice and then have him be suspended for like 8 games, because that's not going to help anyone. So for right now, until we get more information, Rashee Rice on this list as well. Lastly, with Stephon Diggs, we mentioned him with Nico Collins. A lot of targets to go around in Houston, but a lot of big names to go around and get them. So let's go ahead and just remove them from the overall list. And this is the list we have left and their current ADP. We got Tyreek Hill in the first, CeeDee Lamb in the first, Amon-Ra in the first, Brandon Ayuk in the third, Puka in the first, Justin Jefferson in the first, Zay Flowers in the fourth, Jamar Chase in the first, AJ Brown in the first. Every damn first round wide receiver finished high in these metrics. But then we also have Devontae Smith in the fourth, Michael Pittman in the second, Khalil Shakir in the 10th, Deebo Samuel in the second, and Jalen Waddle in the third. But like I said at the beginning of the show, do I need to sit here and tell you to draft first round wide receivers? I mean, they're first rounders for a reason. That doesn't do you any good. So let's go ahead and remove out the first round wide receivers and continue to go through this list a little bit more and try to look at their 2024 outlook to see if it's something that we can kind of predict to happen here this year. So the first guy left over on the list is Brandon Ayuk, and I really have no reason to expect anything different than what we've seen from him the last couple of years. Back-to-back seasons with 75 plus receptions, 1,000 plus receiving yards, and 7 plus touchdowns. He's on one of the best overall offenses in the NFL. He has weekly above average quarterback play. He is playing for a big time fat stack of cash contract, and he's one of the safer wide receivers that lands right here in the third round. He is definitely a name to pay attention to. How about Zay Flowers? There are no other big-time additions in this Baltimore passing offense that's really going to take away a lot of targets from Zay Flowers. His target share, if it could only increase by 2%, he would have finished 6th overall in this exercise. We know he's going to be the top wide receiver target in this offense. If Mark Andrews misses time again, Zay Flowers could definitely be a surprise to a lot of people. What about Devontae Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles? No chance of really seeing more targets in this offense. I mean, they're pretty stacked as is. And besides the addition of Saquon Barkley, there's not a lot of change expected in Philadelphia. Devontae Smith is going to remain a solid mid to low end wide receiver too. Then we have Michael Pittman. We know we have Anthony Richardson back. Jonathan Taylor fully healthy, unlike the start of 2023, but the Colts also went out and drafted Adonai Mitchell. So it's not just gonna be the Michael Pittman show. We have Josh Downs in his second season, the rookie Adonai Mitchell. They also get the return of big as hell tight end Jelani Woods. That could take away a few targets from Michael Pittman as well. Next guy on the list, it's Khalil Shakir, the guy we keep talking about. His name keeps coming up. Now we know Stephon Diggs is gone, and the roles are basically up for grabs in Buffalo. Now Shakir continues to finish highly every single one of these shows that is metric based. That tells me right there, if this guy gets targets in 2024, he is going to blow expectations out of the water. He could be a league winner. If this guy could get anywhere near 100 targets, which I don't know if he sees that number, he could be a league winner. Then we go down to Deebo Samuel, and really similar to Brandon Ayuk, I really don't see much change in this offense here in 2024. Deebo is going to go out there, he's going to get his yardage, he's going to score his fantasy points, but unfortunately, they're going to continue to come in bunches. Deebo had over 30% of his season-long scoring racked up in just 2 games last season in 2023. He also had 5 finishes inside the top 10 of the position, but also had 6 finishes outside the top 30 at the position. He's a little bit too boom or bust weekly for me, which then only leaves us Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins. He has 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, plays on one of the best overall offenses in the NFL. He just got paid, so you know they're committed to him, and Odell Beckham isn't really known for staying healthy. Jalen Waddle's going to suffer from recency bias here in 2024 because a lot of people are going to remember 2023 and think they got burned. Honestly though, Jalen Waddle's in line to have a bounce back season. The last thing we want to do is overcomplicate fantasy football. So even though today we may have looked at some metrics that you don't normally look at, we did it in a way that's easy to digest. I think everyone out there knows they want to have players that get opportunity to score fantasy points. Now, as we went through today's exercise, were there any names that kind of stood out to you? If so, be sure to leave their name down below in the comment section. I would love to have a conversation with you about them. Now, before we get out of here for the day, if you haven't hit the like button yet, now is the time to do it. We got to hit our like goal in this video. But like I said, I'm going to head out of here for the day. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, but most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.
Analytics, off the chain, all the channels, not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headline Nation, we running the game.